This is the Oklahoma Talking Company.
Lean forward slightly, look straight at the speaker, and listen with a sparkle in your eye, as though you might be thinking, gee, this is the most wonderful thing I ever heard in all my life.
Welcome to the show, my friend. Thanks for coming round again.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the OKC Show. It is I, your host, Jason Baffrey, and we are coming to you from the brand new Oklahoma Talking Co. studios, and it's very exciting. We've put in a lot of work over the last couple of weeks to get the place ready. New offices for Destiny Creative Co., which is the production company behind all of this, but Oklahoma Talking Co. studios, where we will now be hosting the OKC Show and other podcasts to be named later that we'll be excited to talk about here in the very near future. So we have a great show lined up for you today, and we have a special guest. Rhonda Knight Boyle is with us from StrengthsFinder and StrengthsFinder Associates, LLC, and she's going to talk about activating your strengths. Now, what are we talking about? We're not talking about lifting weights, because if you know me, you know good and well that I'm not going to be out there. Well, I need to be. I really need to be exercising. But this is about your personal internal strengths, your strengths in business and in life. And Rhonda is a personal coach. She does seminars and workshops. She has started several different organizations, including Women in the Know, Connect and Serve, and then Activate Your Strengths most recently. And she does workshops on business, workshops for corporations, marriage, and a whole lot more. And we're going to find out all about it. And Rhonda, welcome to the OKC Show.
Thank you so much, Jason. I'm excited to be here and excited about talking about one of my favorite subjects, and that's StrengthsFinder.
Let's let people know what we're talking about when we say StrengthsFinder and we talk about activating your strengths.
Okay, great. Sure. Gallup Corporation, many of us know them from doing statistical information. We hear they're the polling people. We hear them reporting a lot in the news. And they developed a test called StrengthsFinder 2.0. And that test is an assessment that many of us have taken assessments throughout the years, a personality tests and so forth that tell us what color we are or what animal we are, things like that. But this test is unique in that it assesses how you are naturally talented. What are your natural talents, the talents that you operate in without thinking? And so that's what we're talking about here, is taking your natural talent and then through personal development, personal and professional development, turning them into strengths, because that's how they become your wheelhouse, the place where you operate in the most strongly and the most powerfully.
And how do you apply these things to life and business?
Well, you can apply them in a variety of ways. My partner and I like to say that the StrengthsFinder test is really just a tool. It's like having hammer, wood, and nails, and then what are you going to build? Are you going to build a better birdhouse, a better, which could be a better job fit? You can use it's really a personal awareness of understanding how you operate and then how to get stronger. Once you identify these talents, then you actually become stronger in them. And then through catching yourself in your most powerful spaces, then kind of duplicating and doing it with intention. So you can use it to tweak your job performance, to actually change things about your work that are a drain on you, that drain your energy, because if you're not working in your strengths, then obviously you're working in a weakness, an area where you're not as strong. And so that takes energy to do that, and it drains you over time. So you can actually really improve your relationships, like your marriage. Mm-hmm. If you understand who your partner is and how they operate, because I can promise you they're completely different from you.
Oh, I can guarantee that.
Right? And so understanding each talent has a need, and so understanding what the needs are for each of the talents of your partner, or anyone that you're in a relationship with, or anyone in your workspace and so forth, then you can actually change your own behavior in order to match them and to make things easier for them, or pick up the slack where you're better, and then vice versa. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of ways that you can apply the information. It just depends on what you want in your life. And we work with all sorts of people who are making subtle changes across the board, right? So
yeah. How did you get into this? I mean, is this something you went to school for? I mean, how do you get into becoming a personal coach, professional coach, and StrengthsFinder's professional?
Well, actually, I do have my certifications through Strength Strategy, so I am a strengths-based coach. I got into this actually 7 years ago when StrengthsFinder came into my church, and it was where we learned, it was really a stewardship program, because if you, I'm sure you're familiar with the 80-20 rule, and how 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people. Yeah. And that's because people don't see where they fit. They're not quite sure the best place that they need to be. And so we wind up, because of when you're in a volunteer situation like that, you're helping grow the church or the volunteer organization, you just pick up the slack where there is a need, and that's not necessarily exactly where you're passionate or even when you're very good at it, right? And so by bringing this into our church as a stewardship program, we were able to place people, in the place where they would thrive and grow in their spiritual gifts, so to speak. So that's how I got introduced to it.
Well, that's very interesting, and it's interesting that it started off with a church application, and from there you became interested in it and decided to make a career out of it?
Well, sort of, by a roundabout way. I actually drove most everybody crazy. I'll just tell you, frankly, Jason, my family, I had to make sure they all took the tests, and it really has helped me in my personal life. My husband and I, we are completely different. They say opposites attract. And so, that's certainly very true in our relationship. And so by understanding him, it's made it easier to know why he does certain things the way he does them. And believe it or not, it's not as annoying. Really? Once I found out that he needed to go over and read for, a couple of hours every night, and to understand that that's his gift, and that's how he operates, it made it a whole lot easier for me to not feel like he wasn't giving me the attention I needed and so forth. And so that's just one small way. But we have 2 daughters who have actually grown up in this work also, and they've been able to find the right job fit for themselves and, really position themselves in a better place in life, to move forward in career choices and education choices and that type of thing, just because they have this personal awareness of how they are naturally talented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many marriages have you saved through this method so far?
Well, I don't know if I've saved any per se, but we actually do offer a marriage workshop where we help couples reconnect and really understand that, one of the things that I like to say is that you're always looking out of your own eyeballs. You can't not look out of your own eyeballs. And when you do that, you're judging other people according to how you are gifted and how your expectations are all driven by the way you are wired. And so if you can understand that what you have is just a perspective and that the other person is coming from a completely different perspective, then you have an opportunity to kind of come together and, operate with an accepting of your natural gifts. I think it's really about acceptance. That's really what the bottom line of what we teach and train on. We help couples with a process that takes them through really understanding why they have breakdowns and then what they can do about it, and that kind of thing. So. Yeah.
Well, you're listening to the OKC Show. Our guest is Rhonda Boyle from StrengthsFinders LLC, and we're talking about activating your strengths. And I actually took the test. I took the StrengthsFinder test and came up with my top 5 strengths. And I have to say, I mean, the test was complicated for me. I mean, there were some answers that were, I could have gone either way. It's not like it's a challenging in the way that, you're trying to do math or anything, but just trying to really honestly gauge yourself to get accurate answers. So
Right.
You've hopefully had a chance to look at my results. And
I have.
And so what do we discover by looking at my top 5 strengths there?
Well,
and let me say this first. And you probably know this by looking at my strengths and some of the answers that I had, and obviously you don't see the specific answers, but some of them were, I'm kind of a private person, which is ironic considering I, host shows of different varieties and that sort of thing. But I'm an entertainer, but I like to be private. So sharing my top 5 strengths with the world right now, I'm a little nervous about.
It's a little risky, isn't it? Well, let me first start out by sharing that the StrengthsFinder assessment identifies 34 different talent clusters, they call them, and you have all 34. You were born with all 34. Right. I have all 34 also. And during the ages of birth to 6 or 7 years old is when you started to you saw the world. You were just like an open, you were open to everything, right? You had no filter. And so by the time you were 6 or 7, that critical factor, that filter started to close. And then you started looking at the world through a certain worldview. This became who you were. And by the time you were a late teen or early 20s, these talents were set in stone. And they've been your dominant talents ever since. So what Gallup does is for $9.99, you can actually go online and take the test. It's 177 questions. And they come back with your dominant top 5 for that price. Now, you can go in and pay more and get all 34 of them. Right. But you're... So, again, 34, we only have your top 5, but your first one is called deliberative, and that is the one that is private. You are a private person behind the microphone,
yeah.
And you also see risk and danger. That's what this talent is really all about. You are an excellent risk manager because you see things that other people don't see. Mm-hmm. Trust me, I don't see risk and danger. Deliberative is number 31 for me out of 34. So I don't see risk and danger at all, but you do. And you will not move forward in a project or, no matter what it is that you're involved with, you're not going to move forward until you mitigate that risk and make sure it's completely gone. So safety is of high importance to you.
I guess this doesn't necessarily mean, because I drive race cars, it doesn't mean that I'm afraid to go out and do things or not a thrill seeker or things like that. But, we're talking about in daily life and business applications, right?
You're very measured in the things that you'll get involved in.
Okay.
So it's not that you won't take risk. It's that you make sure you take calculated risk, right? Okay. So you make sure that you have an advantage and that you can, avoid any kind of danger with that risk.
Okay.
So,
all right. And so is it a good thing?
It's an excellent talent.
Okay.
Think about it. We need people who can do that in our world, especially in business, who can point out the dangers that we have. You use your deliberative, no doubt, in your family in making sure your family is protected, both from a safety standpoint and then from probably a financial standpoint and those types of things.
Yeah, interesting.
So, yeah.
All right, so my number 2 top strength was adaptability, and I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can see that in myself.
People with adaptability, they bend and flex according to needs and changes of other people. So this is a talent that is excellent at building relationships because, have you ever had an appointment on your calendar and have somebody cancel on you or change? Well,
yes.
Yeah, for you, when people make changes on you, it's no big deal.
Right.
You just don't have any problem bending or flexing, and you're very flexible, and you adapt to change very well. And in fact, you become a catalyst for transition because you are so easy with making the change when it comes about. Other people follow into change. They're like, well, there goes Jason. He's not having a hard time with it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and make the change as well. In fact, you like variety and you expect change in your life. So sometimes it might be hard to pin you down because if I were to ask you if you want to have dinner next Friday night, you're going to say, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
You may not want to commit to that because you so expect that something may change.
Sure.
So you wouldn't want to disappoint me, so you're going to kind of hold off on that.
So in the top 5 strengths, are they weighted in a capacity?
Yes. I mean, this is where you came out as dominant.
Okay.
You told the test the patterns of your life. That's really what it is. It detects the patterns of behavior, thoughts, and feelings. And so what you told the test was that you're very adaptable. Some people are not.
Yeah.
I mean, you know them in life. Sometimes they can be hard to get along with and that type of thing. But not you. You're easy. You go with the flow.
I try to be.
Yeah.
I try to be easygoing. There's no need in getting wound up about a lot of things. There are specific things I can get wound up about, but
that's right.
For the most part, I try to keep my blood pressure down.
There you go. See? So your number 3 talent here is responsibility. And what that means is that you take psychological ownership for anything that comes across your plate or, in your sphere of influence or whatever. You own it. It becomes yours. And you are true to your word. And you're totally trustworthy. And we know where you stand and we can count on you. So when you take on a project or something, it is going to get done even if you have to burn the midnight oil.
Yeah.
Have you been involved in something like that recently?
Yeah, from time to time. That does happen, especially around here.
That's right.
So
that's right. So the fact that you have responsibility and other people do not score high in that, it doesn't mean that they're irresponsible. I happen to not be high in responsibility. You and I are pretty much different.
I don't believe that.
Well, it doesn't mean I'm irresponsible.
Right.
What it means is I don't take psychological ownership for it. So if somebody wants to come and take it away from me, they think they're going to do a better job, I'm all for it. They can go for it. But if you have that buck stops here kind of philosophy, and, if you say it's going to get done, it is going to get done.
Now, are these strengths, are they hereditary? Are they learned? Is it a little bit of both? Is it cultural? I mean, how does that play into things?
Well, I don't, all of those things can play in. I really believe, and this is just my personal experience, is that it's really more environmental, and it has to do with how you have grown up, right? Because if we're all born with the same 34, and yet we grew up in different households and in different environments, and then our worldview our perspective is completely different, then it obviously has to have a lot to do with environment and how we grew up, the things that we saw, our experiences, and that this is what we've carried in that we now use as gifts and talents in our adult life.
Okay.
So I think that, again, Gallup's understanding of this is that you're born with all 34, right?
Yeah.
And then you just develop them more strongly, probably based on who knows what. I mean, it could be birth order. It could be, the home you grew up in. It could be the culture you grew up in. It could be the faith you grew up in. Okay. All of those are going to play a part in how these have developed over your lifetime.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my next one is kind of interesting to me. It's ideation. And I remember when you and I first met, you said that this is like your number 1 or number 2?
It's my number 1.
Yeah, and it's my number, 4? So what is ideation?
People with ideation have brains that are sort of like popcorn. They are constantly seeing new ideas and having looking at things from a different perspective. They're turning things around, and we have so many ideas. It is ridiculous, Jason. In fact, I don't know about you, but do you have trouble sleeping at night sometimes?
Sometimes, but not very often. I'm a pretty good sleeper.
I tell you, I will get my pillow tucked up under my neck and take that final breath before I go to sleep, and then bing, ding, I have a new idea pop into my head, and I'll be up until 3 o'clock in the morning because I am just chewing on it, and thinking about it, or it'll lead to another idea. We are really good in a brainstorming session. So if people are stuck or they're in a place where they don't know where to go next, we don't even have to have anything to do with it. We just need to know some basics, and then we'll start popping up ideas left and right. We're very creative, and not all of our ideas are good.
Yeah.
Some of them are quite crazy.
Sure.
Right? But if you'll wait about 12 seconds, we'll have another one. So that's what I mean by ideation. I mean, we just come up with new, fresh, innovative ways. We think outside of the box. And I'll tell you one thing I hate, and you tell me if this is true for you, I hate the status quo.
Yeah.
If somebody tells me that we've always done it this way, I'm like, well, we're not doing it that way anymore.
Yeah, that is very much like me. If it can be changed. Now, I don't want to change things just for change's sake all the time, but I do want to try something new if we've been doing something the same way forever and, the results haven't changed in a long time. Let's shake it up a little bit.
That's it. It's shaking it up, right? And we shake it up with new ideas.
Yeah.
So we're great to have on a creative team. That's where you'll find it in the workplace or, when you've got kids, coming up with crazy new ideas to have fun. So you can see where it can be applied in every area of your life. And that's the point about these talents is they do show up across every area of your life. Now, they may look different in the workplace as opposed to home, but they're still present. They still manifest themselves in a powerful, positive, and dynamic way.
Now, you mentioned kids, and it made me think of something. When do you start seeing these types of strengths showing up in kids? I mean, I have a 4-year-old son who is completely off the wall, and obviously he can't sit down and take a 177-question test.
Right.
But, I mean, some of the things that we're talking about, resonate with his behavior. So is it something that as you learn this, you start recognizing it in other people, even your children? You
do. You will start to see them. Now, Gallup does not recommend taking the test until I believe their suggestion is 14 years old, 8th grade, and that they should have a personal awareness. They have to be able to read at an 8th grade level. Now, obviously, some children can read way earlier than that at an 8th grade level, but they don't have enough personal awareness to be able to answer, with the different indices on the test. Gallup does have another test called Strengths Explorer, and it is for young people between the ages of 7 and 10. So when your 4-year-old in a few years, if you want to, assess them and have them take a much easier, much more simple form of the test, then that would give you as the parent an opportunity to learn how they're naturally gifted and then start developing them early, which would make them obviously stronger as they grow into being an adult. So it's a very, very proactive way of parenting and helping your kids in their own personal development. So, but right now they're just kids and having fun and, it is what it is. They're going to grow up with they're developing their own. And as a 4-year-old, your child still has that open filter, so they're just sucking in everything. Yeah. Right. So
we're talking with Rhonda Boyle of StrengthsFinder Associates, and we're talking about the Strengths. Activate Your Strengths and StrengthsFinder test. And I took mine, and we're talking about some of my results and how those apply to my life and other people's as well. So my number 5, I kind of like this one, intellection.
Yes, you have your 5th talent is intellection. And your ideation is like popcorn brain, right? Your intellection is more like spaghetti brain.
Okay.
If I can give you that word picture. So you are thinking all the time.
Right.
All the time you're thinking. You're even thinking about something else right now while we're on the radio, Jason. I know you. So people with intellection tend to think about things, and then they'll be cued like a piece of spaghetti. All of a sudden they're cued, and then off they go on another noodle of thought on something else, and then they think about something else, and then it'll spiral around, and they're just thinking all the time. You like to think. And you like to think at length about things. And this would kind of tie in with your number one talent, your deliberative, because when you identify a risk, then you're going to think about it for a while. And you tend to have several tracks of thinking going on at all times. Yeah. And you like to be alone. In fact, you need to be alone. There are times where you just need to be alone with your thinking.
It's true.
Yeah, and you might even read a lot. Do you read a lot? Find yourself reading, a big reader?
No, I have stacks and stacks of books that I keep intending to read, but I don't always get it done.
Right. Well, people with intellection tend to go way deep in philosophical thinking, and you are capable of great philosophical conversations, but it's probably very hard for you to find anyone who can speak at the depth to which you can go. So, yeah, because you just are a big thinker. You're a great thinker, and you like your own company, and you tend to be a loner. You can be a loner. Yeah. And so one thing that people with intellection need to do is really respect their alone time and make sure they have enough of it. Yeah. Because if they don't, then they can get cranky and, because they haven't had enough downtime. I'll tell you a little story if we have time for that. My husband has intellection. It's in his top 5. And when I found out that he had this, I said, you are so busted. And he said, what? I said, when I ask you what you're thinking and you tell me nothing, it's not true. And he said, well, no, it's not true.
Oh, wait. You just have blown my whole thing now.
I have.
Now we're giving away secrets.
I am. So he said, it's not true. And I said, well, why don't you tell me what are you thinking about? And he said, I'm always thinking. I said, well, what could you be thinking about? And he said, I don't know. I might be thinking about my second grade teacher.
Right.
And I said, what are you thinking about her for? And he said, I don't know. That's why I tell you nothing. Because thoughts just pop into your head.
I do the same thing with my wife, and she'll say, what are you thinking? Well, nothing. And I could have been thinking about, I don't know, a 1965 Volkswagen convertible for all that matter.
Exactly.
Well, she's telling me, what she's done today. And, not that I'm not paying attention, but I just have these fleeting thoughts of odd things.
You do. They're random, and that's what I say, spaghetti. You'll be thinking about one, and then all of a sudden it'll trigger a thought for something else, and off you go, off on another thinking tangent. And so that's just what you do. You like to think.
Yeah, very interesting. So, we've just kind of done a brief overview of my results from taking the StrengthsFinder test, which has been very enlightening. But you obviously, because you do this for a living, you meet with people, they take the test, and what happens from there? I assume you go much deeper than what we've accomplished in 10 or 15 minutes.
Sure, we do, absolutely. Well, we do coaching, so we can work extensively with people to help develop their talents. There's so much to learn about them. As I said before, each talent has a need that really all of us are just running around trying to get our needs met. Yeah. And so, like, for example, your need for time alone for your intellection. So exploring people's talents and how they show up in their lives is really what we do in personal coaching, one-on-one coaching. Yeah. We also use the workshop approach. So my company happens to do workshops locally, and we travel and can do them anywhere. We have personal transformation workshops that, introduce people to their talents. And then we have others that go deeper, and that's for the person who really wants to break through to the next level, or, they want to explore a better job, or, something like that. So many of us, I think, get to a certain point in time in life, probably when you're in your late 30s, 40s, or early 50s, where you think, is this all there is? Right. Or you have this nagging feeling that something's not quite right, but you can't put your finger on it. And we live in a culture that is so focused on weaknesses and fixing our weaknesses. And so we really teach an opposite approach. Let's stop that. Let's not fix your weaknesses because they're not really weaknesses. And instead, let's focus on and concentrate on building you up and building your, a better career fit or a better relationship or a better marriage or a better, really a better anything.
Yeah.
By focusing on your strengths, because this is where you are the most powerful. It's in these top 5, and really probably your top 5 to 10 talents out of the 34 is where you're going to be the most powerful. So why don't we work on those instead of trying to fix everything?
Sure.
And so that's really our philosophy and the things that we teach. So, yeah.
So if somebody wants to find out more, if they want to take the test, if they want to get advice from you or get coaching, some direction from you, what are the next steps? What do people need to do to track you down?
Okay. Well, first of all, to take the test, we don't own the test. It's a tool that we use in our consulting company. But they can go to the Gallup Strengths Center, and that would be at www.gallupstrengthscenter.com. And you want to choose the Clifton assessment. And you can have 2 choices there. You can choose the $9.99 one for your top 5, or you can choose the, I believe it's $79 to get all 34 in order of dominance. And so that is the first place to start. Now, as I see you have printed your reports, and Gallup has some tremendous resources available online, and I would encourage anyone to take a look at those, print them, download them, review them, and you'll get some great insight that way. And then we would love to work with people. We work with companies also in helping them with employee retention and employee engagement, and trying to help companies leverage and optimize their human capital, right? Their people. Mm-hmm. So take advantage of helping their employees be happier and more productive, right? Isn't that what they really want?
Sure.
So anyway, we can be found at activateyourstrengths.com. So you can go on there. We have a blog available that is people can read up on. You can actually go in and plug in each of your talents and read extensively. We've written quite a few articles on there that are available to you. So dig in there. And then we have workshops that are available. We have an office over off of North Portland Avenue in Oklahoma City, and we run workshops there. Or you can contact us, and we'll come to you. So we either will come to you in your company or into your city. Of course, we have certain limitations and so forth, but yeah.
Okay, and the website again is activateyourstrengths.com.
That's right.
And they can contact you through that. And I know you also have a Facebook page, and is that Activate Your Strengths as well?
It is. It's on Facebook, Activate Your Strengths, and if they look under that, we do a little training almost every day on that too. So we're all about educating people and helping them with their own personal awareness, and it's fun and exciting area to explore and to grow, and
Well, it's been fascinating, and I was really intrigued by taking the test and finding out what my results were, and even to get this kind of brief overview of explanation from you. I've learned about myself. I think I can have some things to share with my wife, so she might know me better, which will be interesting.
Right.
And it's been great, and I just really appreciate your time coming into the OKC Show and sharing what you do, and we encourage you to look at the website, activateyourstrengths.com, and contact Rhonda Boyle and find out what makes you tick.
Yeah. So, awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Jason.
All right. Thank you, Rhonda. If you'd like to hear more about the OKC Show, you can find us online at okcshow.com. You can also listen to all of our shows on iTunes. And be sure to look us up on the internet, on Twitter and Instagram at OKC Show, and go like our Facebook page. We'd appreciate it. You can also check out the Oklahoma Talking Company at oklahomatalking.co. I am your host, Jason Baffrey, and we are out of here.
The OKC Show is a production of Destiny Creative.